So the last Arkham video we put up was actually about the Joker in Arkham Knight. I was surprised a lot of you agreed with me. So today I thought we'd really push the envelope and take a look back at another Joker representation in this franchise that I think is a little underappreciated, which is actually the Joker in Batman Arkham Origins.
Yeah, I really like this version of Joker a lot. It's one of my favorites. I get people didn't really like the twist for Arkham Origins. They thought the marketing off Black Mask was a little silly, and then to have a twist to be, actually it's Joker, surprise. Personally, I liked it, but I also didn't play this game at launch.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a little bit of a difference there. The rendition of Joker himself is actually very well done in this.
Yeah, and we're going to take a look at that and kind of some of the characterization and what makes him such an interesting character in this game. Before we hop further into it, I'd like to say a big thank you to today's sponsor. So if you know anything about me and Cosmo here on this channel, we absolutely love superhero stories. We love independently written stories as well. And something great about this story, Beacon, the Hero of Heartland, is that it is an entirely independently written story by the creator, Matthew Creek. Isn't that awesome, Cosmo? We like independently written stories. Grace Gray has a secret. She is the only known real-life superhero Beacon, though most know her only as a police tip line operator. After losing a loved one during her first major defeat at the hands of a supervillain, Arson, Grace hung up her suit. But when a laboratory experiment goes wrong, creating a homicidal Beacon clone who threatens to tear the city apart, only the real Beacon can stop her. Now, Grace must overcome her tragic past, reclaim her reputation, and save her beloved city and herself. Some of the best, most underrated superhero stories are independently written, like this book is. Now, the creator of this book, Matthew, is actually from Illinois. He's just like all of us, a normal person, and he runs a small game convention in his own hometown. I thought this was really a cool detail. So if you want to help support a really cool independent creator and an awesome superhero story, which I think the world needs more of both of these, this book is actually available in both physical and digital media formats. Sponsorships like this mean a lot to me, especially from creators like this who are just trying to get their work out into the world and succeed. I really hope the best for Matthew. Thank you for sponsoring our video, and please be sure to check out Beacon, the Hero of Heartland. Links are in the description and pinned comment down below. Awesome stuff, and I appreciate you. I want to acknowledge right off the bat that going a different direction and not having Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill in this game as Batman and Joker respectively, and instead having Roger Craig Smith as Batman and Troy Baker as Joker, I think it works. I like the voicing in this game. However, especially with the passing of Kevin Conroy, I'm not trying to pretend all he was Batman, but there's a lot of what ifs. You know, a lot of people throw around, I really wish we had heard him in this game. He was so good in the others. A lot of people do the same for Mark Hamill. I think that that really negatively impacted as well the hype leading into this game. I think a lot of people knew, well, this isn't going to be the performances I've come to expect. And I do think that they were being, in a way, unfairly measured up to previous voice actors, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and oftentimes that happens, though, when you switch actors or actresses. People are so used to what's before, and a lot of times they don't really give the new people a chance, which sometimes it doesn't work out, so I will say that, but sometimes it does. And for these two characters, I felt like it did work out. Like, I thought they were good.
Yeah, I thought
they were both good voice actors.
For younger versions of the characters,
they sounded good.
I thought they worked very well.
Yeah.
Oh my, I'm still way ahead in the employees killed column. I know it's tempting with all these goodies lying around, but don't go helping yourself to a gift. They're not for you! There, don't feel left out. I've got a special gift just for you right up here. And it's wrapped in about 400 pounds of muscle.
I also do think that we'll take a look at design and stuff like that too, but I did just want to throw that out there that I understand there was a lot of reservations about that part of them. But when it comes down to it, my favorite thing about this Joker is that this is pretty much a love story. But what I mean about that is not, well, Joker and Batman are going out on a date on Valentine's Day kind of love story. What I mean is This is a story of obsession and a story of finding meaning and purpose for pretty much both of these characters. Batman, over the course of the game, he's finding his meaning as more than just an enforcer. Early on, he's adversarial with the police. He doesn't want to work with anyone. You know, he has no interest in really anyone giving him any advice either. He barely even respects what Alfred has to say to him a lot of the times until he grows throughout the story. But Joker's the same way. Joker is finding his purpose and meaning. At first, he's sort of this agent of chaos type character who just wants to screw over Black Mask and take his empire and almost build his own. He's a little more organized, but he's chaotic. But over the course of the story, as he interacts with Batman, he starts to find more of a meaning in those interactions than in his own plan, which I thought was really well done.
Yeah, and I think the best part about this that personifies that obsession is the scene where he's talking to Harley Quinn, Dr. Harleen Quinzel.
Tell me something, dear. Have you ever had a really bad day?
And what do you mean by that?
You of all people should know. There's nothing so cruel as memory. The pointy biting little thunderbolts, unwanted party crashers screaming through your synapses. Inescapable, unrelenting, not at all friendly. You can't even escape into madness. And then you meet someone who changes your life. And you feel that you don't even know who you are anymore. Isn't it funny how one little encounter can cleave off little pieces of your past, deform your memories and persona until you rethink your whole identity?
You see him talking about Batman, but Harley thinks he's like talking about her, which in a way he kind of is to like seduce her, but he's really just talking about Batman. So I thought that was probably the best interpretation of that. But then also there's the really interesting scene of him playing as the Red Hood Joker that I thought was really cool. So you get a little taste of his mind and he's getting interested in Batman. There's a guy who should have just let him fall to his death, but Batman jumped out and saved him, and Joker thinks that's kind of funny.
Where'd he go? Huh? The Bat. Your partner.
My partner?
Who else would jump off a building to save your sorry ass?
You know, officer. I was wondering the same thing myself.
He thinks it's interesting. He's like, well, who is this guy that would save a psychopath like me? I want to know more about him. I want to interact with him more. I want to mess with him more.
Yeah.
So there's that obsession part of it when he's talking to Harleen and the Red Hood scene and stuff like that I found very interesting with Joker.
It was also done very well in terms of a psychological aspect where they have you actually play as him.
Yeah.
And they have you experience those events, and it leads up in the end to seeing this nightmarish reflection of Batman and kind of what Joker perceived him as in that moment. And I think it's done so well symbolically too, because something we know about Joker, especially in the Arkhamverse, and this lines up very well, Joker does not really care about Bruce Wayne.
No.
Now, Joker, the hallucination, messes with him, calls him Bruce and things like that in night because he's inside of him. But in the rest of the series, he doesn't care who he is. That's not important to him, is who's under this mask. What's important to him is the persona of Batman. And I think a lot of people get this wrong in the comic books with interpretations and in the movies and all these different things. I don't mean creators, I mean mainly fans. I think they will look at it and they'll say, a lot of times you hear this thing thrown around, Bruce Wayne is just a mask, Batman is who he really is. That's what Joker thinks. Joker thinks Batman is who he really is, and that's it. That's all there is to Batman. But Bruce Wayne himself is often juggling two worlds. He doesn't really put as much effort into being Bruce Wayne as he does into Batman a lot of times, but that person is still there. To Joker, it's not. To Joker, he sees Batman for this weird creature, troubled person who saved him, who must be a nut job to save a psycho like him, like you said.
Right.
And then we later see that again come up. I guess we saw it earlier because Arkham City came out first. But later in the timeline, we see that come up as well when Harley wants to take Batman's mask off, when they actually capture him in City and they're putting Joker's blood in him. And Joker says, don't do it. And Harley is basically saying, why? We could just take his mask off and see who he is. And Joker says, nobody's who you think they are. Why ruin the fun?
Yeah.
And I thought that fit really well with this rendition of Joker, where you can see how obsessed he is with Batman, because over the course of the story after this, he kind of becomes obsessed with, well, I'm going to make Batman break his rule then. How about we make you kill Bane? Or how about we see how far you'll go to actually kill, because you wouldn't kill me. So how can I push you to do this?
Can we push you to your limit?
Yeah, even here. And I thought that philosophy carries throughout the Arkham series after this.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing with Joker, because I feel like if Joker was ever given the chance again after City, I feel like he wouldn't even unmask Batman, because he doesn't care.
Right.
He doesn't care about Bruce Wayne. He just wants Batman. He's so enamored by the idea of Batman, that Batman is this guy that beats up people, but he doesn't kill them. And he constantly tries to throw them in prison, and then he rescues them again without killing them. He just loves that idea that he's constantly trying to push the limits and see how far he can get.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love that. And I thought this game did a really good job introducing that version of Joker. It did a really good job showing us Joker from a guy, like you said earlier, who's just chaotic, and then he turns more into, oh, this Batman guy's pretty interesting, and he becomes very obsessed with him. The twist part of it, I actually really liked. Like, I really liked the twist part of the game. I know some people didn't, but I personally am kind of a sucker for twists in games. I know I sound like Ryan Johnson.
Are you
here.
Nate Night Shyamalan?
Well, like, yeah, actually, I am.
M. Nate Shyamalan. Yeah,
I am, yeah.
I figured you would like that. I just
think it's interesting, though, because then you think it's Black Mask, and then you have the whole investigation scene at the hotel. And,
that was well done at Lacey Towers.
Lacey Towers, yeah.
And you actually find out in that moment how smart Joker is.
Yes.
Joker pretty much framed Penguin.
Yeah, he did.
He had a very methodical way of doing things. And I think a lot of people who watch something like The Dark Knight, they miss the fact that Joker plays people a lot.
Right.
You know, and even in that movie he did. But people will recite the line, I'm just a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do if I caught up to them. And they say, see, Joker's just pure chaos. He's an agent of chaos. Well-written Joker, yes, he's chaotic, but he's chaotic with goals.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
he's chaotic, but he has plans. And yes, he might be just as likely to shoot his own thug as he is to take a shot at Batman.
Right.
But he usually has some kind of laid out strategy too, or something that leads to a punchline that's funny to him.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes his plan is very laid out and convoluted, but the ending of it is literally he just wants to shoot a fake gun at Batman.
Yeah, or throw a pie in his face, like in the DCAU.
And he thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
So he is chaotic, yes, just because you don't know what he's going to do. Like, is he going to murder half of Gotham? Or is he going to throw a pie in Batman's face? That's chaotic. But his character is actually very smart and intelligent.
I thought Lacey Towers displayed that really well.
Yeah.
Because Penguin shows up and kind of just ends up being, I would say, almost implicated in this crime. And it's interesting how Joker actually lays down on the ground essentially to shoot Black Mask's girlfriend when she's up in the air. And then that messes with the height forensics. So then the police just say, oh, it's Oswald Cobblepot because we found his fingerprints. But Batman points out, well, they were on top of the soot, so it doesn't make any sense they would be him. So I thought that was all done really well. And I thought that established Joker as this kind of force of nature in a way, but someone very intelligent. And something I like too about this Joker as well is he does match up with the Arkham version in all of those themes and characteristics, but I also want to throw in here, I thought he had a really unique and interesting design.
Yeah, he did.
He's very clearly on his pathway to being the clown, but he's not fully there yet. He has almost this long trench coat type outfit, and he still almost looks like a street level thug, like he's trying to be a mobster, which does line up with what his goals were originally in Origins. But then we see over time he kind of abandons this more casual look to go into his criminal persona of being a clown, which, by the way, lines up very well with his, I would say, obsession with Batman is he wants to make a worthy adversary for Batman.
Yeah, right.
So he doesn't want to just be some mobster in clown makeup. He wants to be the clown prince of crime that Batman fights. And, you know, it's me and Batman against the world, hardy har. That's what he wants. And that all starts here.
Yeah, and speaking of the costume, I like how in his vest it has a little bit of purple at the very bottom and then some green at the very top. I just think it's an interesting combination of the two colors. And also the purple itself I find interesting because Joker always wears purple. Mm-hmm. Like, that's just his color, and green. But the two colors here are actually a lot darker than what they are later on. You know, like you said, he grows more into like his official costume, but part of that is like a very fun and bright and goofy looking outfit. But this one, it actually looks normal. Mm-hmm. Like, he just looks like a normal street level thug, like you said, but just like an average person. But he still has his Joker makeup and his Joker hair, so he's obviously distinguishable. So yeah, I think his outfit's pretty interesting.
I also wanted to point out with his origin, you talked earlier about the Red Hood scene. I enjoy that this is still left a little open-ended. We don't really know entirely if this is fully Joker's backstory or if it's how he interprets his backstory. Because he never gets into, I was a member of the Red Hood gang and I was lumped into doing this criminal activity at Ace Chemicals, and then I got knocked in there on accident by Batman, and it was a tragedy. But it's kind of implied in a way that that is how he perceives it, at the very least, that he was a victim of circumstance.
Okay, one more. And I need you to be serious for this one. Fate.
You want to know something funny? I used to think of fate as evil. Predetermined, not by some higher power, no, but by the rules of human nature. But tonight, it's all changed.
What's changed?
Have you ever had the feeling that your entire life has been building towards this one moment?
Is that how you feel?
Well, now, yes. Now I realize that all the battles, the bad days, the brutalities, it was all the hand of fate at work.
So now you see fate differently?
Absolutely. Now I understand there are no chance encounters. It was all meant to be. Everything leading up to who I've met tonight.
So you've met someone special?
Yes. And you might say it's changed everything.
I thought it was interesting how you get to see that origin in a way, but you're also left kind of asking questions, because Joker has never been a very reliable narrator. Mm-hmm. So you don't know, well, did this happen? Is this how he perceives what happened? Is this just some crap he made up in his head as a sob story when he's talking to Harley? We don't really know. And I thought that leaving that open-ended was done very well. I think sometimes there is a push in media to answer every question. I will admit, sometimes I go this direction too, because I have a lot of questions when it comes to different media. There are certain things, though, that I think leaving a little open-ended, they're really aided by that. And I thought the Joker's story, they did a good job of giving you something without handing you everything on a silver platter.
Yeah, another cool thing about this Joker from Arkham Origins, it's two things. Two different times that I really love the Joker. The first time is actually when he reveals to the gang of assassins who he really is. I love like that cutscene, he's up in the tower and he reveals it and everyone's kind of like, who's this clown? And then he actually, like, to prove his dominance, kicks the electrocutioner out the window. Like, I found that funny.
And you just see him fall as Batman. You're down in the building, you just see electrocutioner crash through the roof and die.
Right. And Batman's just like, huh, and then, like, grabs his gloves. It's just like, I found that very funny. I love that scene, though, where he has this big reveal and everyone sees him as, like, this skinny dude who has dumb makeup on. And then they actually see, no, this Joker guy's nuts. Mm-hmm. Like, here he just murdered this guy. And then now he's gonna, like, blow up basically all these buildings. This guy's insane. I like that origin part of Joker, or like the big reveal, I should say, where he's establishing himself as, like, a worthy villain. in the world. But the other part that I found very interesting with Joker is actually at the very end of the game, in the church.
Oh, that's... it's just... It's so... What a night!
Fresh off the kill, and back for more, eh?
Bane's still alive.
Now that's not funny. All this rage, all directed at me, and for what? You know, if you'd actually let me finish a sentence, you might learn something! You might learn that we're not so different. You might learn something about yourself!
You need to learn to shut up.
Where Joker is basically mocking Batman and egging him on, trying to get him to kill him. Like, basically say, you know, like, keep beating me up, yeah, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like
getting off to it.
Yeah, he's like trying to get him. Like, he's finding enjoyment out of getting beaten up.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found it a very fun and interesting ending to the game, because in this game you would think the final boss fight, not that every game needs a final boss fight, but you would think it would be the Joker. But it's actually Bane.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bane right before this, when you take him down, where he has like all the Titan stuff in him. And then the Joker part kind of feels like a very short epilogue, if you will, to the game.
I like how it finally establishes the ending, because right after this you have essentially the resolution that Batman is now on good terms with some of the police.
Yeah,
and
right.
There's a police restructuring, and there's things going on with the, I would say, politics of Gotham to make it a little better. But also you have Joker, who was satisfied with the ending.
Yeah.
He wanted Batman to kill Bane and not revive him. So he was slightly irritated that that's the way it went. But then in the end, he was still happy with it. Mm-hmm. Because he realized, oh, this is going to be a lot of fun. This is not going to end here. I can keep this going.
This is the first chapter in the book.
Yeah.
Basically. And there's going to be other fun things coming after this. This is just the start.
And I thought that was really interesting, because even at the church, it seemed like to him at first, that was his penultimate plan. Was, well, I'm going to have fun with Batman here. He's a funny guy. But then things are probably going to end after this.
Right.
And he was satisfied with the way it ended, that it's almost like the line in The Dark Knight. I hate referencing The Dark Knight 1,000 times, but I feel like it's one of the big quintessential pieces of Batman media that everyone has seen.
Yeah.
So it's the easiest thing to go to. But it does remind me a little bit of the, you and I are kind of destined to do this for a long time, forever type thing, which then didn't happen in The Dark Knight Rises because of certain things. But anyways,
right.
I do think that it makes sense and works here in Arkham Origins. I thought it was very well done. I love the establishment of these two as adversaries. And even though Batman matters more to Joker than Joker matters to Batman, I also love that later on, and we might talk about this in a different video, but how we get to see how Batman didn't realize in this universe how connected he was to Joker, though, as well. Because we do actually get to see him struggling with Joker's death and things like that later on, because Joker was kind of forcing this relationship onto Batman, but Batman became very used to it.
Right.
And really was at the point where, even though he wanted to at times, and even Joker says this in Night, he says, oh, you know, there's a lot of violence in your head, especially about me. So it's implied that he maybe did think about killing Joker. You know, it's a thought that crossed his mind. Mm-hmm. Even though that thought would cross his mind, it wasn't something he would do. You know, he was basically going to keep this cycle going. It's just the whole cure thing kind of ruined it in City.
Right.
So that's what led to the deterioration of their relationship, was Joker's death. Until then, they were very connected characters that kept coming back into each other's lives no matter what. And I think that's interesting, because then this relationship over time in this media was expanded on more and more and more. And I thought Origins fit in very well with that. I think Origins is often treated very poorly by people because it was not optimized well at launch. It runs very poorly on PS3 and Wii U. Mm-hmm. So I think that really didn't help the perception of this game. But when you're looking at the story of it, I think overall it's very solid and well done.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And I guess one last thing I have to say here, I love the symbolism at the very end of the game where they're in a church, and the symbolism that Joker's obviously a big Christian. Because otherwise, why else would he be in a church?
That's a good point.
He's probably in there praying.
I thought he was a Catholic.
He might be a
thought
Catholic.
he was like,
He might be a Catholic.
Batman, why didn't you bring the little boys with you? Where's Robin? I thought it was something like that.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is.
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, I'm really inspired by that with
Yeah.
that part with Joker.
Me too. I love the born-again Christian
Yes, me
theology.
too. Me too.
Is that it? That's all you got?
That's all I have. It's a big fan.
Very deep. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I like that bird.
Thank you. So anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Be sure to check out our sponsored partner who we very much appreciate, Beacon. That is in stores now. There is also a digital ebook of that. If you and the kids, the whippersnappers, love ebooks, that is a thing that exists. I personally really like physical books, but I'm an old man. But either way, there are options.
Physical media is dead.
Physical media is dead, but not for the creator of Beacon. Thank you, Beacon, for keeping physical media alive. We appreciate you all very much. Have a fantastic day. If you enjoy listening to us talk as well, we do have another channel, Degenerate Plays, where we play through different games. That is down in the description. We play through them podcast style, having a fun time talking, so hope to see you there. As always, everyone, stay shui.